Hey everyone, this is Mark Prater, session drummer with Iced Earth, Demons and Wizards, and many, many more. You guys are watching Podcast in Stone.
This is Gene Adam, former lead singer of Iced Earth. Be sure to subscribe to Podcast in Stone, and don't forget, join our community on social media. Metal lives.
Come on.
Get to the chopper.
Shut up. I'm trying to do the intro, god damn it. Ladies and gentlemen of the Iced Earth community, welcome to Promo Cast in Stone, the only podcast series that promotes former and current members of Iced Earth and what they're doing in the music world. We are back with Matt Barlow, and we're going to be talking strictly about We Are Sentinels today. I'm joined by, as always, the incomparable Chuck Hoskins. Matt, Chuck, how are you guys doing this evening?
Very well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. We appreciate your time, Matt. We really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't look like evening. I mean, well, it's evening for you, I know, because you're like 5 hours ahead of me.
It's pretty dark outside.
Pretty dark out. It's pretty light here still, but you've got the light behind you, so it really we're kind of matching in our tones. It's nice.
It's all good. You're not a Sith Lord this time.
That's right. I'm not in WITSEC protection. You know, I don't have Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, looking out for me. So
don't worry. He's bought your CD. It's okay. Don't worry. Anyway, I'm gonna stop being a fool, and we're gonna kick this off. We are Sentinels. Go on, you can kick off.
We Are Sentinels.
You can kick off, Chuck.
Can you tell us about how this came to life and how you and Jonah got together for this project?
Yeah, so we did we actually did Prog Power together. I was actually asked to go to Prog Power in 2016, so two years ago, I guess in September. Prog Power's getting ready to kick off right now. A little promo for that. We got together to do a Pure Maze kind of collaboration. So we had me and Lance King, right? That one. Me and Lance King joined the solid band Pure Maze on stage to just do a few songs from records or record that we had played on. So it was really cool, and it was actually the first time that I'd actually ever played with Pure Maze. You know, we did, I did all the recordings at Jim Morris's home studio and basically shipped it all over to Denmark. Sent it over there again. Technology, beautiful, right? Sent that over to there to mix down and everything. So I had never played with the band. I got the tunes. I wrote the vocal melodies and all that other good stuff here at my home, and then went to Jim's and we put it all together and shipped it off. So I had never played with those guys up until that point. So, and it was the first time that I had met Jonah. But we had talked obviously on the phone and everything else like that before. But when we sat down and we were talking, and he was kicking some ideas around. Jonah likes to stay busy, man. I mean, he really likes. He loves music. He loves all the bands that he's in. He loves performing. On those records for those bands. Loves performing live and everything else. So he's a phenomenal musician. And he just, he wanted to do something together, and he actually had some stuff written for like a metal project, which it was great. The stuff is really good. So hopefully, at some point, he can do something with that, because I think it's phenomenal. But when he approached me with it, I was like, I'm in Ashes, you're in Pure Maze, you're in Terra Maze, you got all these other things going on. If we're going to do something, let's maybe do something that kind of sets us apart. And something that we can control, and we're not relying on everybody else. I knew that he had done like soundtrack type music before, and he had some stuff that he actually played for me, and I was like, man, that's awesome. If I could write vocal melodies for that kind of stuff, and we could do this in a way that would be economically sound for both of us and everything else, and we could still do this and do our other projects. That would be phenomenal, and that's kind of what we went with. That was the kind of the idea. At the time, things were kind of stopped with Ash's stuff. We had written some stuff, but we weren't complete on things, and things were going on with Van and all that. So it seemed like a perfect time for me to sit down and start writing some other stuff. So basically, as soon as we departed, Jonah started working on stuff, and he started sending me songs, and it was really nice because I would sit down in my home studio, and I got a Pro Tools rig, and just put the songs in, and I just started working on melodies and things like that, and harmonies and all that, and I was just inspired by the music. I started writing the lyrics as I was going. I'd hear a certain song, and it would run me in a certain direction. Whatever my thought process was, I didn't have anything. There was nothing preconceived with this. It was all just kind of on the spot, and really the writing itself for all these songs probably was only a couple months period. So I wrote the main melodies, and I obviously elaborated on them as we went along, and as we were getting closer to the studio, I wanted to tweak them out and get them more adjusted. And then obviously when we went into the studio, we polished everything up. But it's pretty much what it is. There were only a couple tunes that I asked Jonah to extend a part, or to do the part again to make it more of a chorus type situation. But most of the stuff was just really was what it was. And I had this idea because a couple of the songs really struck me as something that was winter themed, so to speak. And I wanted to do those songs together in kind of an idea, not that they're joined at the hip, but it's just a theme that kind of runs through these. And we call it the Winter Trilogy, but they really have different parts to them. And I can kind of go through those parts if you want to. I can elaborate on those if you like. But I don't want to take up the whole show with going on. But that's basically, I sort of answered your question and maybe a couple more. I don't know.
No, I've got a funny little story. I'm sure you're aware that I reviewed the album. Jonah was kind enough to send me the album early. I know it's out now, but he sent me he sent me files to hear it early, and I wrote a review. Okay, I don't like giving number scores, because what's a number at the end of the day? Well, I gave it a 10 because it's fucking amazing. I love it. Honestly, it's really good. But the funny story is, I listened to it once, and then Jonah and I wrote my review, and Jonah was like, "You listened to it in the wrong order," and I was like, "I've listened to it in the order you gave it to me." He's like, "Yeah, but that's wrong." I was like, "Oh." so I had to. He gave me a list of the correct track listing. I had to listen to it again,
right?
Which was a superior listen, I might add, actually.
Yeah, well, we tried to, because we had an idea how we wanted those songs, because really they were just kind of a mismatch, and we just like all things, it sort of is important, the order of the songs, how they go.
Yeah.
Now obviously the Winter Trilogy, we wanted them a certain order for sure, and the other songs we really wanted them to, so you have the ebb and the flow of the feeling of the tunes.
Right.
So
see, I didn't know there was a trilogy, because the track listing I listened to was incorrect the first time.
Right. Well,
So
it's all of the trilogy have winter in the title, so you sort of know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing with the Winter Trilogy, it really is like it's more of a theme than anything. But and you may have seen the video for Kingdom in Winter.
Awesome video.
The video is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. I will say this though. Side note on the content of the video does not really match the content of the lyrics. Though it's awesome, it doesn't really have that stream. It's a really fitting tribute, and it's actually awesome because the way that we let Chance kind of run with it. Jonah gave him some themes and stuff like that, and he just built this whole story behind this and kind of ran with it. And that's the beautiful part of the music. And I think that the listener can kind of fill in the blanks with their mind, and maybe that's where it took him, and that's cool. And I love the video. I think it's awesome. It was great making it, and working with Chance was phenomenal. But like most, I'm not going to say most, like a lot of videos, the video doesn't necessarily match the lyrical content and what my thought process was. My thought process is very simple. but because of the music that Jonah wrote, it sounds so epic, and it does sound like something that should be, an 80s epic fantasy saga like this looks, right? But my idea is just very simple, just because of the music. So my idea is basically just what a child thinks at that first big snowstorm of their life that they remember, and that big snowstorm that you can hear outside, and it sounds frigid outside, but inside it's warm because of the fireplace or your heater or whatever. But you hear all this going on, and then when you awake in the morning and you see that the snow has changed the entire world, and to your young eyes, like your backyard has changed, and it's like a kingdom. So that's the kingdom in winter. So that's my simple idea, just with Jonah's big music, and it just sounds really more.
I think now you've explained that. I think that kind of like makes a song. I'm gonna listen to the song. I'm gonna listen to that later.
Right.
Try to like figure it out. But I like that because the way you said about your simple kind of idea for the lyrical content with Jonah's bombastic, epic, like massive music in the background. Isn't everything to a child big anyway? So it kind of like
it is
kind of lends to that. So.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's not that I'm not downplaying it. I'm trying to do it from a child's eyes and what I remember as a child with a snowstorm, and how big it was, and how life altering it was for me, that first big snowstorm or big blizzard, and how absolutely cool it was. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just like I said, it's more of a personal, maybe that's what I'm looking for. It's more of a personal song than it appears to be, because it appears to be so big and expansive, and with that sound, but it really is more of a personal song. And really, a lot of these, all those songs are. Dreaming in Winter is a simple idea of our. And I wanted to make it as secular as possible. But still celebrating that time in winter, that time around gift giving, whether it be whatever religion or not. But we do tend to exchange gifts and things like that, and whenever we're giving those gifts to our children, what those mean to them, and how it can make them and help develop them, and not only those gifts that we give the physical gifts, but the gifts that we give them, like kindness and thoughtfulness and things like that, and how that affects them in their life growing up. So that's Dreaming in Winter. That's the meaning of that song. And Battle in Winter, even though it sounds epic and all this other stuff, and I talk about elves battling and the Elvish will stand. Go ahead, man.
That is my favorite song on the records.
Okay, all right.
I think it's got the biggest chorus in the whole album, personally.
It's pretty big and massive. We meant it to be that way, because we wanted the kind of the battle elves kind of a thing. Yeah. But and that's really just kind of my play on instead of that's kind of my play on the whole concept of elves. And I'm not exactly sure how elves got introduced into being toy makers and all this other stuff, but I look at the elves as more of a helping humanity battle against the evils in the world. Greed being the number one, and that battle, the battle in winter to me is the battle between our charity that we have during that time of the year, and our absolute greed that we have at that time of the year. Those two things are battle constantly, it seems like, and it leads to a lot of dysfunction in our lives, not just as as an individual and as a society. Individually, we have some of the highest suicide rates at that time of the year, because it's that you have that togetherness, but then think about all those people that are also lonely at the same time, and that's why we have that, and it's a battle, and it's a hard thing to deal with during that time of the year. So I just thought it was important to kind of express that.
And there is a real kind of like a mental kind of deep in kind of subconsciously, where the sun's gone away, so you don't feel as good anymore. You don't feel pumped up,
right?
You feel a bit down, it's a bit gloomy. Like.
Absolutely, man, and it goes back to our connection. And I deal with this a bit in this on certainly in We Are Sentinels, but also on the next Ashes record. And I knew I was going to get a plug in there anyway. Even though we're not supposed to be plugging that. Our connection, our human connection with this planet, and with the universe, and how connected we are to that, and how important we are to the planet, and how important the planet is to us, and the sun and the solar system and all that other good stuff, and time and space. And so anyway, I'll stop talking that stuff.
Jason mentioned his favorite song. My favorite song off the album is My Only Sin. Can you tell us a little bit about that track?
Yeah. So, and I've said it was inspired certainly by my wife. And I don't like to get locked into writing songs that are so kind of one dimensional. I want anybody who's listening to it. It may mean something different to them. But to me personally, it means we sometimes have a second chance at things, and love is a big part of that. And I just I didn't know exactly how to express it. A love song. I'm not necessarily the best at love songs, but because again I kind of want to make them a little more palatable to everyone. But that song was certainly inspired by my wife, and when she and I got together, there was some tough times that I had in my previous marriage, and I thought it was just very important to understand that even though we lose in love sometimes, there's always that second chance, and it's sometimes it just kind of I don't know. It's very emotional for me to think about it because I even get choked up talking to my wife about it. So when I was actually first explaining the song to her, I was kind of fighting back and a little choked up and everything talking to her about it. But yeah, it's definitely about second chances in love and in life. So that's I appreciate it, man. That's again a very personal song for me. So.
I was listening to the album coming home from work today, and In Memoriam, is that based on a certain individual, or is that just a general?
Again, it's one of those things I wanted to be a little bit generalized, because I wanted people to be able to relate to it, and maybe something that they've read, but it really is. There was a man that I actually went to school and went to the same school that he went to, but I never knew him. But I had read his obituary, and he had died just about a year prior to, and it was always kind of on my mind, and I'm thinking how I didn't know him, but I felt like I did know him by reading his obituary and all of the kind things that were said about him and that his family said, and he had a very large family and just all the accomplishments in his life, and I just thought it was, and I didn't necessarily want to make it just about him or a particular guy, but I couldn't really help myself when I was talking in the lyrics, because there were certain things in the lyrics about how he treated his wife, in particular, that really stuck out, and I thought it was important to bring that out in the lyric. The part where you doted on your wife. I just thought that was really, really, really important to bring through. Mm-hmm. And it, again, a lot of these songs, when I think about them, I do tend to get a little bit choked up because I think about them a little bit, excuse me. I think about them on a kind of a deeper level. Right. And that's the way these songs,
I was going to say,
well, I think our listeners will now also, having heard the story behind it.
Yeah, and I hope so. I mean, I hope that, and I'm sure that the listeners probably have already kind of read between the lines a little bit on a lot of the stuff, because it I try to make it not so vague, but a little bit so they can fill in the blanks. But sure. But I obviously I want folks to be able to hear it and go, wow, that makes sense. And so in memoriam, it really is. It's really about reading all of the kind things that people say about somebody who has passed, and we've all had that. My dad passed away a couple years ago, so and I put some things up, on my page about him, and it gives people a bit deeper understanding about that person and how they affected people in their lives. So that's where I'm at.
It's a kind of a similar thing where, like, basically, can you agree to, like, mourning somebody that you've never met, like mourning their passing? Is that something you say that you say that you can do, right? As a human being, like, yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely think so, man. Especially if you know that person has touched so many lives in such a positive way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was this guy. He actually had a big YouTube presence. His name was John Bain. He was like a video game critique, and I had watched for about 6 years, watched his content like week in, week out, and he passed away from cancer in May. And that hit me like a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And I cried, and I was very, very sad by his passing. But I never met the guy in my life. Never met him in person.
Yeah, I know, man. And I think it is. I think it's. There are certain things that you can relate to also on a person, maybe on a personal level, because he was a YouTube guy. Maybe you have that in common, as far as what you're doing here and things like that. And you whenever you look up to somebody, it's weird. My wife, she was kind of wondering when Chris Cornell passed, and I can't say that I've ever been, I was never a huge Soundgarden fan. I really liked a lot of his. I did like some of Soundgarden stuff was amazing, but Chris Cornell's his solo stuff was really good, and I really appreciated him as a vocalist. I always thought his vocals were spot on as far as the emotion that he delivered, and I just really dug it. But for whatever reason, when he passed, it really hit me hard, and my wife was kind of like, "Are you like a big Chris Cornell fan?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know that it's that so much as just the fact that I know that he's touched so many people's lives, and I can relate to him on a personal level because he's about my age, and he he did a lot of things, a lot of amazing things, and he's to me still pretty young dude, and it's just terrible to go in that way. And I do know a lot of people that have passed recently. That I know from the business, and it's just tough, man. And I guess just his passing just sort of hit me in a weird spot. But it was just, I don't know what it was, but it's again another phenomenal musician that has passed, and not in the best possible way, obviously.
It's been a really sad year for incredibly lovely people and talented people that have just and folks that you didn't realize that we're dealing with addiction issues, and I guess maybe we should, and I know they've dealt with addictions in the past and things like that, but then whenever you don't hear about it, whenever it's not, they have done a good job of concealing that. Tom Petty, another one just recently with the fentanyl and stuff like that. I mean, it's just hard, man. It's really you really see the devastation of what this thing is doing, the heroin addiction and the fentanyl and the pills and all this other crap. So it's tough. It's really tough. I want to say this is a good segue, but it's kind of a sort of a emotional segue. Anyway, it's a segue anyway, regardless if it's a good segue. Speaking of people that are no longer with us, you covered Holy Diver by Dio.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think you done him proud, my friend. You really did. This great track.
I appreciate that, man. And that's the thing. I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to make it exactly like he delivered it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I wanted, it was sort of a personal challenge for me to show how something that somebody can do in metal, and you can do it in a different way, and not make it campy, and not make it, you know, I didn't want it to be, Pat Boone does, does heavy metal or whatever that craziness was. It wasn't meant to be camp. It was meant to be just a different delivery of a very good song. And that's what we, is just an iconic tune, and we just wanted to deliver it in a way that was very respectful to Ronnie, and hopefully we did that. And the feedback's been awesome. So I can't be, I always go back to my wife, because she's always my kind of my balance, and she's like, she's like, I really love this song. I just hope everybody else does. And she's like always that one kind of the worrier for me. And I'm like, well, I said, babe, if folks don't dig it, at least we do, and at least we understand it, and we know what we were intending to do. We wanted to pay tribute in a very respectful way, and do it and make it sound different, but highlight what Ronnie has done, and the kind of musician that he was.
I strongly believe that you've achieved that, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'd like to talk about the other cover song, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. That was a big surprise for me to hear you covering Cinderella. Was that you or Jonah that brought that to the table?
That was me. I'll take full credit for both of those tunes. But yeah, and again, it's just another aspect. So we did Ronnie James, which is, at that, if you think about it, they're about the same time periods in the late 80s, as these were popular, both popular bands, but on separate ends of the spectrum as far as like hair band. One definitely, Ronnie's definitely heavy metal, and Cinderella was, bluesy, hair rock, or whatever.
Right.
But I loved frickin' Cinderella, man, dude. Night Songs, and it's just good music, man. And Tom Kiefer, I was always in awe of the fact that he could do that with his voice, and just do that, have that really kind of that cool guttury thing, and just seem to be able to push it through. But I always wondered what that song would sound like if he would have just brought down that, and I don't know if it was his intention to do the song that with that raspiness, but I always kind of wanted to hear him sing it bring it down. And that's where I took the song. And that's where I wanted it to be. I just wanted it to be more of instead of a big, kind of raspy sound, and I just wanted it to be more of a personal song. And that's why I delivered the vocals the way that I did on that. And hopefully,
if you go see, I'm sorry, I was going to say, if you go see him live now, he's toned down that raspiness. I don't know whether it's his age or his voice, but he's more straight vocals, and it still sounds great without the the rasp.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but there were many years he actually had paralysis in one side of his chords.
Yeah.
So he actually had to teach himself to sing again.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it was because of the way that he was singing for all those years, doing that raspiness. But if you think about it, I do that sometimes, but I don't do it all the time. I vary my vocals, but it seemed like every song that he was doing had to have that, that thing right there. I just freaked my dog out doing that. But I don't know exactly what it was, and I'm sure that he would know or have a better idea. But I mean, that is an amazing story in itself. And I sort of followed him as he was recovering from that, and I know that he does tour now. I think he actually does duets and things like that with his wife too, right?
Yeah, she gets out there and they do some really good covers and stuff. They still do a great show.
Oh, that's cool, man. I hope to someday be able to go out and see him and thank him, because they gave us blessing to do the song, or
it's
I think that's cool.
Amazing. I was very surprised to see it on there. It was a nice surprise. Speaking of live shows, recently
Damn it, you stole my segue. Damn, you stole my segue. I was gonna lead right into that, but you stole it from me. Oh, man. Carry on.
How did the Minnesota We Are Sentinels show go? And is that a one-off show? Will there be more?
I think there will be more, man. I think it was just really we had the opportunity to kind of get together real quick and put together something. So we kind of jumped at it. It corresponded with us going to mix the Ashes record in Minnesota. Since I mixed at Terrarium, I'd done vocals and mixed and all that for We Are Sentinels at Terrarium. I worked with Rob and he was awesome. So I just thought it was a good mix. So whenever we were doing demo work and stuff like that and sending stuff to Rob, he was mixing it down for us, and Freddie liked the way that he worked, and we just kind of thought it was a good idea that we could get together there and do the final mix for the Ashes record. So in that time, I told Jonah, hey man, we're going to be in Minneapolis during this week. If you can get us a gig or something, maybe we can get together and practice a little bit and then just kind of do a gig. And he did. He pulled it off, man. So it was a little bit by the seat of our pants, because we had literally had like an afternoon to practice the day before. We had never practiced these songs live before. So it was kind of like just kind of get up. And the way that we did it, because of the atmosphere, we had no budget to do anything. We don't have we didn't have a big, did have a banner back there and stuff, but we didn't have a budget to do anything visual, so we just kept it on a smaller scale. So we did it more like a storyteller's kind of atmosphere. Just sat there and it was just he and I, and we did have backing tracks because I got to have those battle elves back there singing with me. So we did have some backing tracks and some of the stuff, obviously Jonah can't play every single instrument that he's doing on the record, so we did have some of it. So yes, some of it is canned, but we wanted to make it a nice storyteller type of show, and I think it turned out really well, man. I mean, from what the folks said in the audience and things like that, I think that they were happy with the way that we produced it, and if we do more like that, that would be phenomenal. I think I like the smaller scale of things, keep the audiences, smaller and just make it more of a personal thing. I spoke in between songs, just kind of told them like what we were talking about here as far as what the songs mean and things like that lyrically. And we just kept it low key, man. That being said, this music also lends itself to, it could be huge if we get to a point where we can start hiring musicians to do the cello parts and things like that live, and we can do some visual stuff in the back. It could be a big stage production as well. So that's the beauty of this music, is that I think you can either take it in a small cafe style setting, or you can make it big. Either way would sound really cool. So
I got the best idea. When you get to that point where you can do like hire musicians, you could do a live album and call it Symphony and Sentinels. Done. There you go. Boom. Sorted.
Oh, okay. Do I owe you any money now?
That's a freebie. You can have it on me.
All right. It's recorded. This better not get edited out.
Just come to the UK. Don't screw me over like iServe did this year. They screwed me over this year. They didn't come, and I don't think they will be for another year, because Demons and Wizards, I don't really care about Demons and Wizards that much. Anyway, yeah, come to the UK, please.
They'll be there. You'll enjoy it. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened with the UK. I can't remember. I talked to John recently, but I can't. He said something. I don't know exactly what happened with the UK, man. I don't know what happened, what fell through, but yeah. So
Luke,
I'll apologize for John. How about that? Okay. I will take that burden on my shoulders.
Okay, they're forgiven. That's fine.
Me and Jason and a lot of other people are big vinyl collectors. Is there any chance of this album getting repressed to vinyl?
Please.
Right now.
I think that Jonah is looking into that. I think that he may come up with a deal to get some.
Take my money now, please.
Yeah. Well, man, it's going to be, the important thing is, and please, I got to, since you're promoting, you're saying this is a promotion thing. Please get on the wearesentinels.com and all that good stuff. Get on the web store and order some stuff, because, this is a self-produced record. Jonah put in it's all him. He put in everything. So he put in a lot to this, so that we can keep doing records. So we really need to make sure that we get this merchandise sold. He's got merch, he's got CDs and things like that, or just get on Amazon or a legitimate site and download the stuff, so that so that We Are Sentinels gets paid, and then we'll be good to do another record.
That was going to be my next question.
I have an economics question.
Okay.
I haven't bought the album yet because for some reason US mail costs too much money. Is there any way that whoever you've got kind of distributing, or whoever you've got behind the scenes doing the store stuff, is there any way they can figure out a cheaper alternative to international?
Yeah, that's the thing. Right now, it's literally Jonah and his girlfriend are sending everything out. So all the packages and stuff like that, everything that we've done, we signed every single CD. He sent them to me. We signed them all. I sent them back. All the posters are signed, like hand signed. I got 2 giant packages of posters, hundreds of posters, and I was signing them like all night long, and mailed them back to him. So I mean, all this stuff is like literally our hands have been on it. So if that matters to anybody, I don't know.
That matters to me.
If that helps push you to maybe pay the extra for the postage, man. We greatly appreciate it. Anything that you can do. But at this point, it's a small operation, so it's hard for us to reduce that shipping cost.
Because at the time when you had pre-orders up, I really couldn't. The shipping was really killing me. I was like, damn it, like, because I was a bit skint at the time. But I'm gonna jump on there and just go swallow my pride and let US mailing have their $38 or whatever they want to ship it.
Yeah, I know,
it's
man.
Ridiculous,
I know
man. Like,
it sucks. It sucks, brother. I the only thing I can say is if you order more stuff, it probably won't cost you any more if you order like more than
I know it's not you guys' fault, but it's just think mailing in general is just ridiculous.
It is.
If you're in England, don't buy just a CD. Buy a shirt and buy a poster also.
Buy everything.
Or
buy everything.
something that can come in a smaller package or something. It's because it probably costs you the same either way.
Do you know what you are for stock?
What we have in stock?
Yeah. Do you know?
I'm pretty doggone sure they've got hoodies, which are really, really cool, really tasteful hoodies. It doesn't look like it's not like you're throwing on. You can wear these anywhere. You can wear them to Sunday brunch. They're really tasteful. The t-shirts, we've got they're on the website that says they're called unisex t-shirts, and I asked Jonah is that we want to make sure that everybody understands that. It doesn't mean when you wear the shirt you're only going to have sex one more time. It means that it means that they're for everybody.
I feel sorry for that one unlucky bastard that puts it on and they have sex for the last time.
With the last, right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that your chances increase to having more by wearing it. I wish I could tout that, but I can't. So I think there's the female shirts as well. A lot of CDs. We do have the posters. We got the flags. There may still be some of the Pilsner, the really cool Pilsner.
Those look amazing.
I want one of them. I really do.
Yeah, I think we got some of those left too. So,
nice.
Why don't you message Jonah, since he's the guy that does it. So message Jonah and see what's in stock and how much it'll cost to get that stuff to you, man.
I will do that.
Right on.
Yes.
So We Are Sentinels. Go out and buy it right now if you don't already have it. Thanks for the insight on some of these songs. It makes me want to go back and listen to some of them again.
Yeah, man.
Tonight.
I mean, I think that was another. When we were conceptualizing this was the thing. It was one of those deals where we wanted to do music. It's funny. I was just having this conversation, trying to explain what it is, and it's like I want it to be sort of easy listening for metalheads. I don't want Pink Floyd to be the only band that gets the metalhead seal of approval for like kind of laid back, kind of more music that you just kind of relax to. Right. It always seems to be the thing. Pink Floyd, how do they get a pass? They're not metal, but it seems like every metalhead is absolutely okay with Pink Floyd.
I'm not a fan. If that helps. If that helps.
Okay.
Does that help the cause? No, it doesn't.
It doesn't help my narrative, man. Jason, it does not help my narrative, bro.
Damn it.
No, but I mean, I love Floyd because the thing is that it wasn't so much about the music itself, but the content, and that's, to me, that was always the thing. So even though with We Are Sentinels, the lyrical content, again, we've sort of disguised kind of personal ideas or personal little tunes with these big epic sounds. There are also some very dark and heavy stuff, within the record. So it kind of, we sort of wanted to make a nice kind of cool balance. But this is definitely the kind of stuff that you want to go home, put on your headphones, chill, just chill back and just listen kind of and absorb. It's not really, bang your head. It's definitely not bang your head type stuff. It's not really aggressive, but there are just, moments of a big swelling emotion, hopefully for everybody. There certainly are for me when I listen to the stuff. So hopefully everybody else gets that. And, and hopefully we can do another record and do some more stuff like this. So that's what we're hoping.
That's awesome. I have spoke to a couple of people that are, very open on this and says, they're not too sure about this. They're struggling to get into it. And I'm like, right. Anybody on the fence with this record, please just give it another try, because I just think it's really, there's nothing else like it at the moment. And I do feel that there is that metal DNA that runs throughout the record.
Sure, and that's something
without guitars.
Right. That's the thing. We weren't trying to escape our roots at all. We were just trying to do something a little different and do something that maybe folks outside of the metal world could appreciate as well. Right. So we get into the people that listen to cinematic scores. Hopefully they're going to appreciate it and maybe go, huh, so that's what a cinematic score would sound like if you put, vocal melodies and harmonies over top of it and did different concepts and things like that. So that's what we're hoping. We just really wanted to do something different that wasn't, we're not betraying ourselves. We're not betraying our fan bases or anything like that. But just something different and unique, and hopefully most people will get it. And hopefully, I don't mind growers, man. They say, those records that grow on people. I don't mind. Because to me, those are typically the ones that have the longevity. So if, like you said, people that are listeners, if they go back and listen to it a second time or a third time or a fourth time, and then it starts to kind of drill into their psyche or whatever, I'm absolutely cool with that. That's okay. That's okay with me.
I'll be brutally honest. I can be honest, right? You're not gonna feel hurt, are you?
I won't. I don't want to hurt feelings. I'm gonna shut this lid right here.
No, but people on the fence, to me, to be honest, you put out Soul on Fire. My first reaction was not for me straight away. Yeah. But then I heard the album, but it changed my opinion completely.
Yeah, and it's different. I mean, again, Soul on Fire is probably the darkest kind of concept of the whole record. It's kind of my take on Faust. Maybe with a modern twist. So you can, and I left it. I tried to leave the lyrics open enough for people to kind of fill in the blanks themselves. So whether you're going to take this as an addiction kind of a thing, people that maybe they are fighting with addiction, and that's who their devil is, or the internet, for instance, people get addicted to that, and and it sucks them in and makes and leads them down the wrong path. Sometimes that's kind of what this song is about, and it was the kind of the darker tone of the entire record, and that's probably one of the reasons that we released that one first. When Joan and I were kicking the idea around, okay, what are we going to release first? What do you want to do? I said, well, let's do that one, because I think that's probably going to maybe relate more for the metal fans. Maybe they're going to get the concept and understand that though the music may not be heavy, is what they're thinking it would be, maybe the concept will strike a key with them.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's your first listen, you weren't that wasn't your favorite tune, and that's okay. But I'm glad that you gave the record a listen, and we're
from start to finish, from My Tower all the way to Holy Diver. It's great. I love it.
Right on, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I have one last question before we wrap up. I don't know how.
I have one too, so go ahead with yours first, Jason.
I don't know how long this answer will be, but when it comes to putting the instrumentation together and structuring it, did you have any input in that at all? Is it you just leave Jonah to do what Jonah does?
Yeah, no, I didn't, other than what I had discussed before, just like asking him to extend a part or to replay the part in another where I felt was a chorus and needed to be doubled or what have you. But everything was just what he wrote was what he wrote. He sent it to me. I got a vibe off of the music and started writing the lyrics and the melodies, and that's what it was. So it was very organic, man, and it happened very, like I said, very quickly. I think it was a couple months, and we had the whole record pretty much written. So it just worked out really well, and I'm hoping that that's the way it's going to be for the next one. We'll see. We may have to take it a different route, especially if we want to be more deliberate about some of the content or what have you. But Jonah didn't have any preconceived notions as far as what I was going to deliver. He trusted me on the lyrics and the concepts, and I trusted him on the music. And it was just that joint effort and that trust that we had. And there was like literally zero bickering or zero like of him sending something back and going, could it be a little different? It was like every song I sent to him, and I didn't know. He was like, "Oh man, that's brilliant. That's awesome." And I was like, I'm waiting for him to tell me something sucks. Okay, or right. Something that, no man, that's not what I had in mind for that music at all. I never got that. So hopefully, that collaborative, and if something sucks, I want him to tell me. Believe me. But it was good that he didn't, I guess, because for the most part, I think people are digging what we did. So. I think our instincts served us as well for this one, and hopefully we'll do so in the future.
Nice. My final question was, if there's a second, and hopefully there will be a second album, do you see it being the same you and Jonah, or do you see yourself maybe adding a guitar song or two to it, or do you want to stay with just the keys?
Well, we've already discussed about adding other musicians, but more for just a live feel, and using the same kind of instrumentation. Jonah's reached out to a professional cellist, and she's already laying some stuff down for songs that he's got. So I think probably, I don't think guitar is even, we're kind of, I guess, intentionally, and I've got tons of guitar friends, and it's no diss on them. We're just trying to keep it in a certain vein,
Nice.
But there's certainly adding other voices might be something new too, that we would do. I did all well, except for the part in Sirens of Odysseus. That's Jonah with the female voices. That's his voices. But all the other stuff, all of the other songs, even like the clean falsetto that you're gonna think sound like little boys or girls or something, that's all me. I'm just doing really clean falsettos, nice. With a little bit of effect on them to make them sound, spacier or more wispy and things like that. But so I did all the voices. So we might look into adding, maybe some actual female voices in this stuff, but we don't know. Nothing's set in stone right now. But that's.
Speaking of voices, does that mean you done the opening narrative for Kingdom in Winter?
I did not do that.
Who done that?
I was wondering that just today.
I was going to say that doesn't sound like Matt, so I can't.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's Avi, and his name is on the liner notes, man. So I can't remember what his last name is. So just you'll have to look that up. It actually says who did the narration on that.
All right, before
he's a South African gentleman. So that's who did and he does a lot of voice work. So
I can tell. It's
Yeah.
very good.
Yep.
I'm just gonna have some last thing to say before we wrap up. Everyone go and buy the CD, We Are Sentinels, because it's great. I have a review up of it on the Podcast and Stone group. It's basically pinned to the top, so you can't miss it. You can read that. Jonah seemed to be quite happy with that review, so that makes me happy, so it's all good.
yeah, man.
I'm just going to say this, Matt, that I'm such a fan of your voice. If you sing on it, I'm going to support it. So you can put out a jazz funk record and I'll probably support it. Do you know what I mean? You have.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, man. But I do appreciate your enthusiasm for jazz funk. So
I'm not a fan. I just think you've got that voice that can fit any genre. You've just got that baritone and you're just one of the greatest of all time. Just a little fanboy bit there.
Yes, and thanks for spending time with us today, and go out and get this.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully we'll be able to buy a second copy on vinyl soon.
Yes, that would be cool, man.
Get on that, Jonah.
Do it now. Come on, vinyl, you idiot.
Take us home, Jason.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our promo Casting Stone with Matt Barlow talking about We Are Sentinels. Matt, thank you for coming back on the show. It's been a blast, man.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, dude.
Thank you for creating awesome
Chuck.
music.
Masterpiece.
All right. Chuck, Jason, it's been real, man.
See you guys later. Matt, see you later. Chuck, see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
See ya.
That's a terrible high note.
It wasn't terrible, man.